When stress hits you, most people do the same thing. They shrink. They tighten their chest. They freeze up inside. Their mind starts running faster than they can control, and they go into survival mode. Stress makes you feel like you're drowning in responsibilities, expectations, deadlines, pressure, noise, and uncertainty. And in that moment, most people ask the wrong questions. They ask, why is this happening to me? Why now? Why can't life be easier? Why can't people understand me? And these questions don't calm the stress, they multiply it. They make you feel smaller, they make the problem feel bigger, they trap you in a mindset of helplessness. But stress is not the enemy, stress is a signal. Stress is your mind's way of saying, pay attention, something needs to change. And the moment you learn how to master that signal, not avoid it, not push it down, not escape it, your entire life transforms. Because stress doesn't break you, stress shapes you if you understand the right question to ask. See, every breakthrough in life begins with a better question. Your brain is a meaning-making machine, and it always answers whatever question you give it. So if your question is weak, stressed, fearful, emotional, your answer will be weak, stressed, fearful, and emotional. You'll find proof that life is unfair. You'll find proof that things aren't working. You'll find proof that you're under pressure. You'll convince yourself you're overwhelmed. So when stress hits you, you have to interrupt the pattern. You have to pull yourself out of that emotional spiral. You have to command your mind instead of letting your mind command you. And the way you do that is by asking one powerful question, a question that shifts your focus instantly, that changes the meaning of the moment, that turns stress into clarity, uncertainty into strength, and pressure into purpose. When you're stressed, ask yourself, what does this situation demand from me right now? The strongest version of me, not the tired version, not the scared version, not the overwhelmed version, the strongest version. Because inside you there are multiple identities. There's the identity that panics and the identity that conquers. There's the identity that doubts and the identity that rises. There's the identity that freezes and the identity that adapts. And whichever identity you call upon in the moment of stress becomes your reality. You've lived that again and again. Think about it. There have been moments in your life where you thought you couldn't handle something, and yet you did. There were moments where you said, I can't deal with this. And then something inside you stepped up and handled it. There were moments where you felt overwhelmed, and yet you still found a way. You have survived every single storm in your life, every heartbreak, every challenge, every situation that your mind once said would break you. You're still here, which means there's a version of you more powerful than you realize. Stress isn't asking you to collapse. Stress is asking you to rise through a new level of strength you haven't practiced yet. When you ask yourself, what does this situation demand from me, the strongest me? Your brain stops focusing on the problem and starts focusing on the solution. It shifts from panic to purpose, from paralysis to movement, from fear to clarity. You start thinking differently. You breathe differently. Your body changes. Your energy changes. You stop being a victim of the moment, and you become the architect of your reactions. Because stress doesn't destroy people, indecision does. Stress doesn't break people, the meaning they attach to it does. Stress doesn't overwhelm you, your story about the stress overwhelms you. Let me tell you something you already know deep inside. The strongest version of you is not afraid of stress. The strongest version of you knows that pressure creates excellence. Diamonds are formed under pressure. Muscles grow under resistance. Resilience is built through the storms, not the sunshine, and the universe is not trying to break you, it is preparing you. Every stressful moment in your life, everyone has had a lesson inside it. Some of the greatest breakthroughs of your life happened right after you were stressed, panicked, confused, or exhausted. Because stressful moments shake the old version of you loose, they force you to grow into someone new. Stress pushes you toward decisions you've been avoiding, habits you need to break, boundaries you must set, and strength you never knew you had. But you only discover that if you ask the right question. When you're stressed, don't ask, why me? Ask, what is this moment demanding from the best version of me? And you'll notice something powerful the moment you ask that question. Your stress becomes guidance. It becomes direction. It becomes fuel. Your mind stops focusing on everything that could go wrong and starts focusing on what you can control. And that is where your real power is, in your control, not in your fear. Because you cannot control everything around you. You cannot control people's opinions, life's unpredictability, the world's chaos, the choices others make. But you can control your focus, your emotional response, your actions, your state, and your internal dialogue. And those things determine your destiny far more than anything external ever will. So the next time stress hits, and it will, instead of going into the old cycle, the old anxiety, the old story, breathe and ask yourself this. What would the strongest version of me do right now? He would breathe. She would think clearly. He would separate emotion from logic. She would take one step at a time. He would stop catastrophizing. She would focus on solutions. He would slow the mind down. She would step into certainty, not fear. And something changes the moment you step into that identity. Because your brain is wired to follow the identity you choose. If you choose panic, your brain gives you panic. If you choose calm, your brain gives you calm. If you choose strength, your brain gives you strength. You are not stressed because life is too heavy. You are stressed because you are lifting it with the wrong identity. But there is more. There is a second question that transforms everything even deeper. A question that instantly dissolves half of the stress you feel, and that question is this actually a real problem, or is it just my mind creating pressure? Because most of the stress people feel isn't real. It's imagined, it's projected into the future, it's based on what if, and not what is. Your mind is running scenarios that haven't happened yet, and you're feeling emotions for events that only exist in your imagination. You're suffering from a future that doesn't exist. You're drowning in possibilities, not realities. And the moment you ask yourself whether the problem is actually real, not imagined, everything calms instantly. Most of the things you stressed about 5 years ago don't matter today. Most of the things you stressed about last year don't matter today. Most of the things you stressed about last month already passed. Your stress isn't permanent, but your reaction can be, and that's what you must learn to control. So ask yourself, is this a real threat, or is this just my mind overthinking? Almost every time, the truth is, you're overthinking. You're predicting failure before taking action. You're assuming the worst before giving yourself a chance. You're magnifying a small challenge into a giant catastrophe. Your brain is not trying to hurt you, it's trying to protect you. But protection doesn't help when you want to grow. Protection stops you from taking risks, from stepping out of your comfort zone, from trying something new, and growth requires discomfort. That's why stress shows up. It's a sign of growth, not danger. Stress means you're stretching your limits. Stress means you're stepping into unknown territory. Stress means you're learning something new, taking on more responsibility, raising your standards, improving your life. Stress is the shadow of growth, so if you can switch the way you see stress, you can switch your entire life. Instead of seeing stress as a sign you're failing, see it as a sign you're expanding, instead of seeing stress as weakness. See it as an invitation to rise, instead of seeing stress as pressure. See it as preparation. Every person who created an extraordinary life felt stress. Every leader, every athlete, every visionary, every creator, every entrepreneur, every game changer, they were all stressed. The difference is they didn't let stress control them. They used it. They channeled it. They turned pressure into power, and you can do the same. When stress hits, your nervous system goes into survival mode, your breathing becomes shallow, your muscles tense, your awareness narrows. But when you ask the right question, your nervous system shifts into resourcefulness, your awareness expands, your breathing deepens, your energy rises, your confidence strengthens, you begin to see options, opportunities, solutions. Ask yourself, what does this moment require from the strongest me? And your brain will begin to answer with strength, clarity, certainty, focus, and intelligence. You'll start remembering who you truly are. You'll stop shrinking and start stepping into your power. But let's go deeper. Because true mastery is not just asking the question in moments of stress, it's training your mind to automatically respond with strength. Stress hits you in familiar patterns because you have practiced those reactions for years. If you've been reacting with panic for 10 years, your brain has built a pathway. Stress equals panic, but you can train a new pathway. Stress equals clarity. Stress equals power. Stress equals growth. Stress equals action. The brain rewires through repetition. So starting today, train the identity you want to live with. Every time stress appears, pause and say out loud, "This is not happening to me, it's happening for me. What can the strongest version of me do right now?" The more you repeat it, the more automatic it becomes. One day, stress will hit you, and instead of reacting emotionally, you will respond strategically. Instead of tightening, you will breathe. Instead of shrinking, you will rise. Instead of drowning, you will lead. And people around you will notice. You will feel calmer, more grounded, more confident. You will feel like someone who controls their life, not someone controlled by life. And here's the truth. You deserve that peace. You deserve that strength. You deserve that clarity. You have survived too much, overcome too much, learned too much to let stress own you. Stress has no right to run your life. Stress is not your enemy. Stress is your teacher. Stress is your test. Stress is your doorway to becoming the strongest version of yourself, and the strongest version of you is waiting on the other side of that question. When you're stressed, breathe deeply. Slow the mind, bring yourself back into your body, and ask, what does this situation demand from the best version of me? And watch how fast your life transforms, because the moment you control your focus, you control your emotions. The moment you control your emotions, you control your decisions. The moment you control your decisions, you control your future. Stress doesn't decide your destiny, you do.